there, guys, and welcome to another Factorio Friday Facts discussion number 299, one away from 300. Everything is more complex than expected, and I am joined again by Fixin.
Hello, everyone.
So, uh, today it's pretty much just talking about one thing, rail signal logic, and Fixin is going to take lead here. I didn't actually read through the whole thing, even though it's super short. But it is really straightforward. I mean, I pretty much already have a general idea of what's going on here. So,
Yeah, you get the general idea just from skimming it, but since this is the discussion, let's go in depth.
yeah,
Um, Basically, rail signals, the way that rail signals work when you have an automatic train is it looks ahead and it tries to reserve the next train block for itself. And if the train block is free, it reserves it. If the train block is not free, then it stops at that signal.
right.
Um, Once it passes through that block and enters another block, then it releases the reservation on that block that it was in before. Which sounds simple, right?
Right, in theory.
Yeah, it's like as soon as you leave the block, then you release your reservation on the block because you're no longer in it. Um, but the fact that they're talking about it means the answer is no. That's not simple.
No.
So, and they have a very simple counterexample where you have a loop, or not a loop, but like a U-turn of a train that passes through two different blocks on the straight section, but that doesn't have any signals itself.
Right, yeah, this like
Which,
half circle here.
which my first instinct is to say that this is signaled incorrectly, and that it's user error. But at the same time, there is a bug here. Say the train's approaching from the right, it reserves block number 2, which is the red block, reserves block number 2, and passes completely through it, but then gets to block number 3 and finds that it doesn't have a reservation. Wait, no, hang on, that's wrong. It reserves
So,
several blocks in advance. Several signals in advance, I should say.
right. So, yeah, since it reserved block 2 twice, basically, but then removed both of them, the second, with the, basically, the train still counts on it and it isn't applied, so it's basically open for any other train to enter, and then you have the potential for crashes.
Yeah, train crashes and program crashes,
Yes,
and desyncs in multiplayer.
exactly.
So basically, what's happening here is it reserved block number 2 twice, but the logic for releasing a reservation just says release the whole reservation. It doesn't count how many times you reserved it.
Right. Yeah. So
That
then
that's the bug there.
yeah. So then it just becomes open for any other trains, and then you get issues.
Yep, and because the reason it can cause desyncs is because um, it doesn't the game doesn't save block reservations. It just deduces them from signals.
Okay, that makes sense. So then basically the solution is once they identified what the problem was, it was pretty straightforward. They just added support for block to be reserved multiple times, and removing the reservation decreases the counter instead of just removing everything, and the block is freed only if all the reservations are removed.
Yeah, so if those of you who are programmers and are familiar with smart pointers, they decided to implement smart pointers that count how many references there are instead of just releasing memory.
Right. And however, the thing is, the real bugs and problems started after they did this, because we now need to be extra sure that the block is reserved exactly the same way, or the exact same amount of times as it is unreserved. So the logic from this was far from rigid before, as it just wasn't needed. Quite a few strict checks were added to make sure that it internally was compatible, since we don't really want to have to fix these. This block is closed forever bug, where it would be close to impossible to figure out how the game got into that state. Um, But now that they can use stops as waypoints, not only blocks, but rail signals can be reserved more than once as well, as the train can plan path in a circle and reserve the same signal twice along the path.
Yeah, so the TLDR of this whole solution section is we implemented smart pointers, and smart pointers are hard to get right.
Yes, basically.
Because now it's not just, hey, reserve this reserve these blocks for me. Okay, I passed through. Go ahead and release them. Now they actually have to count how many times did you reserve it, and make sure that they have the corresponding number of releases of the reservation.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty important check. Uh,
This is how
so,
memory leaks work, by the way. You
oh, really?
reserve a block of memory too many times, and you don't release it enough, so the programs or the application still thinks that it needs that memory, even though you're never going to use it again.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't actually know how memory leaks work, but that makes
That
complete
that's
sense.
one form of a memory leak.
Right.
It's not every single example, but a common way is you have memory that you allocated that you didn't properly free.
Okay. Makes sense. Um, so basically, the effect is on this bar graph we can see here how the internal changes of rails bumped our crash report counts, but will hopefully be back to normal soon. So on June 8th, shot all the way up to about 2,500 when they did this, but you can see it is fairly steadily decreasing. June 12th, it was all the way at like below like 3 or 400.
Yeah, I'd say 350 ish.
Yeah. And I like the final statement. You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs, but overall, the trend continues towards stability. So,
Yeah, this is a good trend. I like it.
yeah. And as kind of an aside, there was this interesting Reddit post, and Flixie and I were curious if this, what I'm about to show you, is fixed from what they changed here, or if it was a result or something. So there's this thing, new three-way intersection design. Obviously, this is a bug of some sort because the trains are literally passing through each other, uh, as you can see here. And as the top comment says, um, basically rail curves have three hitboxes. So they're like passing through like specific parts where the hitboxes like aren't colliding. Is my understanding of this?
Yeah, that's basically it. Because Factorio is a 2D game, everything has to be in two dimensions, and curves are really hard to get in two dimensions. And hitboxes, in particular, are rectangles.
Yeah.
So um, how do you put a curve like that into a hitbox without affecting things that shouldn't be affected by the hitbox?
Yeah, exactly. So this is pretty interesting. That is some really good throughput. it's uh it's pretty crazy. I know that for a fact that this is not intended.
Or at the very least, should not be intended.
Should not be intended. Yeah. So it's really cool. I wonder if more people are going to mess with it if it's not fixed already. But thought it was pretty interesting and kind of relevant to the Friday facts.
Yeah, I found it really interesting that I saw this post last night, and then this morning's Friday Facts was talking about Rails and
Yeah.
specifically Signal. I was like, are they related?
Yeah, they could be. I mean, I'm sure a dev saw that. I mean, the devs are fairly active on Reddit, so I'm sure one at least saw that.
Yeah,
Whether
I'm
they're
sure our
connected or not.
seating is rolling over in his sleep.
Yeah. He's probably busy trying to make hitboxes work the way he wants. Um, but yeah, I think that's gonna do it. It was pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but yet another bug fixed, and they continue to decline. Less bugs, which is awesome.
Yeah, so bug fixed, lots more bugs generated, and then most of those bugs fixed,
Yeah,
which is about the story of software in the first place. So,
basically, yeah. Overall, good stuff. So that's gonna do it, guys. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave your thoughts below and on the forums. And until next time, we will see you later.
see ya.